Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another stream today. Not going to be as exciting of a stream. These next 2 weeks are going to be a lot more chill for pretty much everyone in this game because there isn't too much going on. And I do like having a permanent unit because this is a permanent unit today. It's been, let me tell you something that's going to shock you or not. It's been about just over 11 months since the last permanent unit. So yeah, it's about time that we've had a permanent unit because we really needed one. And it's been such a long time since we've had a permanent unit. I wish they would release more permanent units. Now I understand that basically no one's going to be using their crystals on these banners, but you know, I'd still like to cover these anyways. And I still wish that they make more permanent units because some people do still spend if the permanent unit still ends up being good. So anyways, today of course we're going to be doing everything that we normally do. Looking at the unit is going to be the main focus of the stream, and this won't be as long as previous ones because there isn't as much to do today, and we will have a look at the news first of all before we do any of that. Showcasing all the unit and stuff should be pretty fun. I haven't looked super in depth on this unit yet in regards to the kits, so I am looking forward to seeing exactly what she does, but I did have a brief look at all the hit counts and stuff before the stream because I always do that. So let's start this off. Let's just have a quick look at the news. And by the way, in 2 weeks, that should be the Christmas event. So I do highly recommend to save for that because that's going to be quite exciting for Christmas this year. Definitely going to be quite good, but you're going to have to wait and see. Black Friday promo stuff going on right now, so it's very nice. You can get 5,500 more free crystals just from logging in daily, so just make sure logging daily is pretty easy, but it's nice. So let's just have a quick look at the maintenance notice. I don't think there's too much here today, but we've got Family, or however you pronounce her name. She, if you don't know who she is, she appeared in the Young Balin's event story. So like a few months ago, she appeared in one of the event stories, and we don't really know too much about her, honestly, because that's like the only time that we've seen her. Um, and obviously in this event it's gonna be about her too, but she's not in the main story or anything. She's like a past unit, so that's why she's a permanent unit. And we've also got a new SSR Ark, which we'll have a look at both of these in a moment. She's a earth damage dealer and can heal, so we'll look at that soon. And of course we've got the event itself. Does have a world map, and you know I'm always a fan of world maps. They're always a lot more interactive, and I like those types of things, so should be nice. A unit test play quest, of course, and the world raid is now going to be on today, hopefully, as long as it's not postponed again, because as you know, it was supposed to be on last week, but they postponed it because of a problem, so it's going to be on this week today now, which is going to be nice, because I do like these, they're pretty fun. And there is a new equipment in the Temple of Transmutated Gear. I don't really do these that much, because they just, you know, require so much time and orb recoveries to even max them out, and they're just very specific, like it's certain attributes and stuff, so I don't always get these. I've only got like one of them because they're just very, you know, niche really, and I wish they were a bit better, or at least could be used more, like, you know, the multiplayer event ones. Those are a lot better because they're accessories, but most of these are armors and weapons, which are more specific elements. So I think the new one here is a robe for dark damage, which I suppose that could be used on Balezar, probably. So it does have some use, I suppose. And then you've got Tower Trials Earth. Great. Nothing else to say other than that. And then obviously the gachas themselves. There isn't too many gachas going on. Obviously, we've got the normal gacha, step up gacha. You can get a couple of tickets in this event because it is a permanent unit, even though you don't get many. It's better than nothing, I suppose. And there are some Black Friday gachas. There's two of them on right now. Got this one. I don't really recommend this one because 9,600 page crystals, so stupidly expensive for this. Just to get one UR arc that you don't have, it's not really recommended. It's just too expensive. I mean, it is SSR Plus only, so technically you could get another one in there, but it's just too expensive for randomness. I wouldn't ever recommend that. But this one sounds quite interesting to me. Now, I'm probably going to be doing this later on because the special thing about this one is it's cost 3,000 paid crystals, and you get obviously one unit that you don't have. But as well as that, you also get the Sequestered City Ark and the Band of the Dunes Ark guaranteed in this one. So you get 2 limited arcs guaranteed in here and a unit that you don't have. Now, these arcs may not be the best, they're not amazing. Sequestered City, this is the first time that it's came back since, you know, when they released that for this server quite a while ago. That was like a year ago or something now. So this is the first time that this has had a rerun technically. And Sequester City is not bad. It's a decent arc, honestly, because the Archive reward and stuff is alright. Band of the Dunes, the only good thing about it is the Archive reward really, and maybe some learnable skills if you don't have them yet. But for 3,000 paid crystals, I'm probably going to be doing it later on because it sounds worth it for 2 guaranteed arcs and a unit that you don't have, if you're missing both of them, that is. But you don't really need to worry about it too much. If you don't have the paid crystals, or if you're free to play, you don't need to worry about it. But I'm going to be having a look at it later on at least. I'm probably doing that because it sounds like a good idea. And you can get some crystals back too, because if you're missing a unit, get that unit to level 100, you get 1,000 crystals back. So yeah, it's something, I suppose. And then some promos for Arena, 1st of December. Yeah, I don't really care about that too much. And then there is a Black Friday limited pack, which is today. I did get that one because you get 20% more free crystals. Only 1,200 more free crystals, but you know, these types of bundles, deals don't come around that often, so I like to pick them up when they come because don't put that out of context. I didn't mean it like that, but you get what I'm trying to say is they don't come around very often, so get that if you're considering to get anything. And then some improvements. So I'll have a quick look at this. This is to do with guild battles if you care about guild battles. So they basically changed how the auto entry function works. So what it was before is if during the ready phase of the battle, if you don't set a defense and you don't attack, then it turns it off. And the same thing with if the matching was unsuccessful, it also turns it off. But instead they've changed it so that it will stay turned on for the rest of the season, basically. So you have to turn it on at the start of every single season, which is a little bit annoying because some people may forget about it. But once you get in the routine of remembering to turn it on at the start of the season, it should be fine because it's going to be on every battle for that entire season until the next season. So I suppose it's not much of a change, but it's something to keep, you know, to remember if you care about guild battles, and if you're doing those, then just make sure that you turn it back on after every season. And here are some improvements to the gear in, you know, the Temple of Transmutated gear. They've got some improvements, which is very nice. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but basically all of them have got damage cap increases, and some of them have got damage increases. Like this one is up by 5%. This one's up, you know, by like 13% for this one. For this axe, 25% now, it's pretty nice. And then that one didn't get much change, it's only 5% more damage. And then this one is 5% more, but it is a slight improvement, but it is nice to see that they've, you know, buffed them a little bit, because they were kind of underwhelming for the amount of effort that you had to put in to get them. Because before, this one was like 15% ice skill and counter damage, you know, it's very specific. But that's arguably one of the better ones, because it also boosts damage based on how little enemy HP is left, so it's a decent one. But I'm just saying, they usually weren't that great. Like this one, for instance, this axe only giving 12% of skill damage, and when you max it out, all that effort you put into it just to have 12% damage on a weapon is just very bad. But now they increase it 25, so now it might be worth considering to get that, maybe, if you feel like you are going to be using that. So I would only ever get these if I see myself using them for a certain unit or something like that, because otherwise if you're just getting them, you're probably not even going to use it. So yeah, that's pretty much all the changes. There isn't really much in this update, of course, because it's more of a chill event these next 2 weeks, not too much going on. Well, there is going to be the raid boss today. That's probably one of the main events going on, and the event itself. So yeah, it's probably not going to be too much going on in the next 2 weeks, which is fine, because it is nice to have at least some sort of break, you know, and not have constant, you know, overpowered banners stuff going on all the time, because that's just pain, and not everyone can keep up with that. So it is nice to have at least a permanent banner for once. So that's basically all the updates. Not too much, really. And this promo, I've already mentioned it, but 5,500 free crystals for logging in is pretty nice. So now let's have a look at the banners themselves and start having a look at the new unit and the Ark, because this is the main point of the stream, of course, is the new unit, because she looked quite interesting. I don't know if it's going to be any good yet. I mean, I've had some thoughts about maybe there's some interesting things you can do with the unit, but let's have a look first of all. So, Princess of the Great Tree, Family, if that's how you say it. She's a spirit type unit, which, okay, we don't get many spirit type units in the game, so that's nice. Makes sense, because fairies, you know. Some people are thinking she could have been like the fairy unit that appeared in the story, but no. So, her stats, high strength and mind, because she can be a healer. She's a healer and a damage dealer at the same time. Attribute resistances have plus 40 to thunder is quite nice. So you can definitely make her thunder resistance quite high, which might be interesting in some scenarios, I suppose. Let's say you're up against a thunder type boss, like the Garland boss that does thunder damage, of course, then you could technically increase your thunder resistance by a lot with accessories and armor and stuff like that. And maybe you can even get close to 100 thunder resistance, which will be funny. Emerald resistance is, I mean, I don't think they're very good, honestly, because here's the problem. She is supposed to be a healer and a damage dealer, and she has weak to, you know, silence, only resistance to curse, no stun resistance, so it's not the best. But she does have nil to illness, I suppose, which is good, but not the best. They're not that great, but could have been worse. At least she's not weak to stun or anything like that, because that would be the worst. But not really much to say about that. Now, we get on to her skills next, which I do have the hit counts of these. So, she is an earth damage dealer. Skill 1 is a medium area earth combo attack. All of these skills are pretty basic. This skill 1 is 8 hits. It looks okay. I don't think any of these skills are going to be that crazy. If you're looking for another top tier DPS, she's not going to be that type of unit. Because, you know, her skills are not fast enough, I think. But skill 1 looks okay. Not really much to say about it other than it's 8 hits, and which is good for a skill 1, but it's not super spammable, so it's not going to be anything crazy. And then her skill 2 is a medium area long range earth combo attack that pulls enemies in. I do really like skills that pulls enemies in. It doesn't say it pulls enemies in like a certain area, so I think I mean, it says enemies and not just that one enemy, so you're going to have to test out exactly how good that pull-in effect is. And it is a long-range attack, so having a long-range pull-in skill sounds interesting. This skill looks fast, but it isn't very spammable, so you can't really spam this that well. So that kind of ruins the skill if you want to spam it. This one's 14 hits. It looks okay. We'll try all these skills out later on, but just giving you a brief idea of what they are right now. This one looks okay. The pull-in effect is always going to be quite nice to have. And then skill 3 is obviously her main skill, because that's always the main skill on these units, usually. This is just a wide area earth combo attack, very basic. This one's 18 hits. For a skill 3 is quite low, honestly. I wish it was higher than 18. If it was closer to like 25, it could have been a pretty good skill. But because it's 18, that does not make it as good. But this is probably going to be a best skill to use if you want to spam for DPS, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Looks decently fast, I think. This is probably my favourite one for DPS at least. But don't be, you know, impressed by any of these, because she isn't going to be a crazy damage dealer by any means. And then we get onto her special, which doesn't actually do damage, and this is a supportive special, and I'm always a fan of these types of specials because they do have, you know, long-term viability, I suppose, for a support build if you want to. So for all allies, give an earth damage 50% buff and a damage cap 20,000 buff, and very greatly restore HP and remove all strength, defense, intelligence, and mind debuffs. So this is quite nice. If I think you're going to be using her with a earth damage dealer in your team ideally, someone like you know, Fairy King, Iron Wise, or whatever, isn't the best DPS wise, but just saying that could technically synergize because earth damage. It doesn't say. It says earth damage / damage cap, so I would assume it's earth damage cap and not just all damage cap. But it is still a pretty nice special. It doesn't revive allies, and I do like seeing revives on a special because those are pretty nice, but it is still a pretty good special, especially in the future if we end up getting some sort of very high DPS earth damage dealer in the future, then she could synergize with that unit in the future if that ever happens. I'm just saying that currently we don't have any crazy earth damage dealers for PvE content. The best ones are like light and dark. Those are the main ones, and fire because of Callan. Those are like the main ones I can think of. So not really any good earth damage dealers for PvE. Or at least top tier, so it's still a pretty good special. Now let's have a look at her traits, because these are always more fun. So trait 1, when finishing a skill, restore ally HP in a medium area around this unit. So when she finishes any of her skills, it restores ally HP in a medium area around this unit. Which is interesting, because it says when finishing a skill, so every single skill that you use is going to restore HP to allies in a medium area. So that could be quite nice. Basically, you don't even have to heal because you can continuously keep spamming your skills, like keep spamming skill 1 or something, for instance, and it will keep healing your allies. So I suppose maybe in certain battles where you can't use magic or something, she might be useful there because you don't even have to use magic and she can continuously heal from using skills. So as long as you have SET, then she can keep healing your allies, which could be quite nice. Or you can just use a healer in your team, which is just fine. But not having to use your healing spells is a unique idea that we haven't seen yet, really. When finishing a special, so when she finishes her special, it deploys a Great Tree domain at the unit's feet for 30 seconds. In the domain, activate an effect to restore HP every 4 seconds, and an effect to give a 10 seconds damage taken minus 50% buff effect. So, interesting, and the only downside is this buff only lasts 10 seconds, but a 50% damage taken buff is quite strong, and that does make her special even more useful. So using like Great War of Ruin on this unit could be quite strong because of this damage taken minus 50% buff effect that you can give to your allies in the team, as well as the earth damage and damage cap, and removing all the debuffs on your allies. Sounds like a decent support, right? So far, at least. So nothing crazy, but quite interesting, and the damage taken minus 50% buff effect could sometimes be useful if you're struggling against, certain bosses that hit very hard. Then this could help against that for sure. But of course, if you have a Spirit Maiden Sarah, then these units can't really compare against each other because they're kind of different roles. You're not ever going to be using her instead of Sarah, But these are like the certain scenarios where you maybe don't have a healer, or you can't use one, or something like that, or you just want to mess around with unique teams or something because of her special giving the damage cap and earth damage potentially, then you could do something with that. Now her trait 2 is a more generic one, I think, because it gives her damage. So when she only has one weapon equipped, increase earth damage by 40%, damage cap by 50,000. So every unit basically has something like that if they're a damage dealer in their traits. So yeah, makes sense. And then some more interesting stuff. At the start of the battle, auto cast Stonewall 2. So these Stonewall 2s, like fast stone walls, or any fast wall effect, will apply to your entire team. So for 40 seconds at the start of the battle, all of your allies, everyone in your team is going to get a Stonewall 2 effect for 40 seconds, so quite nice. And now here's probably one of the most interesting things I was interested about when I read this kit, is when this unit is revived, it revives all incapacitated spirit type allies with 100% HP. Now, why I think this is interesting is because this doesn't have a limit. So, because this doesn't have a limit, you could do some fun stuff with this, or some very annoying stuff with this in PvP, like guild battles for instance, because this happens every single time that she revives. So you could just keep stacking revive accessories, decoy, and all of that stuff, more revive effects on this unit, and then every time she dies and gets revived, it will revive your spirit type allies. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, we don't really have many spirit type units in the game. You can always just give them mimicry spirit type. So there could be some interesting stuff you could do with this for PvP and stacking revives. I don't exactly know how it's going to work with existing revives. Like, let's say you got 2 units in your team and they both die, right? And then when she revives, it's supposed to revive the other unit. Well, what if that other unit already has decoy? Is it going to use the decoy first, or is it going to revive that unit without using the decoy and save the decoy for afterwards? That's kind of the question I have, and I feel like it's probably going to be using all of the units' revives first before it activates this. That's my guess. But if you could activate this revive before any of your like existing revives like decoy, then there could be some crazy synergy with like this unit plus skeleton or something. You know, it could be annoying, like super annoying, and I hope it doesn't end up being a thing because I don't like the idea of that existing because it's just frustrating. But you know, you could do some interesting stuff with this. You could just stack revives on her, have someone else on the team, and they don't technically need revives, they just need a mimicry spirit type. And every time she dies and gets revived, then your other allies that are spirit type are going to get revived as well, so it could be interesting. That's probably the most interesting thing there, but obviously the damage taking buffs and her special buffs, they're quite nice too. So far, she doesn't have too much damage, but she does have some nice supportive effects, which is always nice. And supportive buffs are always, the most valuable things, so I do like seeing them. Now, let's have a look at her passive skills next. So she doesn't actually have any magic spells, which is weird, because she is technically considered a healer, and she doesn't have any healing spells, because she heals from using her skills. So, it's interesting that she is like a healer support type unit without any healing spells. It's kind of a first, but it's interesting at least. So, attack up max, magic defense up max. Now, if you're wondering why she has magic defense and a lot of mines, then it's because healing scales off of what your magic defense is. So, the higher mines that you have, the more healing you're going to get. So, it is nice to boost your mines to increase your healing. And of course, those healing boost effects are going to apply as well. Resolve up 1 for whatever reason, Heroism up 3 and 4, Anti-type boost, Anti-type breakthrough 3. I haven't seen any Slayer effects yet, but I'm going to assume there's probably some at the bottom somewhere. Auto Grand Brave, Auto Matisse and Haste, Earth Drive, Attack Raise 2 and 5, Stone Enhance pretty good, Earth Weak Point Breakthrough 3, so more damage cap when hitting Weakness, Spirit Breath. I'm hoping Spirit Breath activates from the healing when finishing a skill, because that could be quite good. Goddess Kiss, which, I'm not going to question it yet. The one reason why I'm thinking about it is she doesn't actually have anything in her kit that requires MP yet, and there is a chance there could be something towards the bottom that could require MP, which is likely, but we'll see. Favored sword, two-handed sword, and song boost 4. So more damage cap, make sure to single wield, that's probably going to be a best build, honestly. Sword, Giga Boost, Close Boost, Armor HP plus 2, Special Shield Decoy, so she already has Decoy, so don't need to worry about that, which is nice. Giant Shield 2, Godly Body. When a basic status element is healed by an active skill, give resistance plus 1 for the healed elements. Interesting. Even though she doesn't have any, you know, cure all skills or anything. Now we get on to the unique skills. So honestly, her, you know, normal passive skills are not that crazy. Like, they're kind of, you know, whatever. Some of them are like outdated skills. Like, I prefer seeing stronger forms of this, like, you know, Giga Drive, stuff like that. What's the next collab going to be? We have no idea. I mean, I have an idea, but maybe, but we don't know at all yet until they announce it. So, of course, there's going to be like reruns and stuff happening. I would expect there to be a rerun, but is there even going to be one before next year? I wouldn't think so, but we have to wait and see. So, yeah, there's never a schedule or anything for collabs, so it's just like, I think it's like once every few months, I think so. So maybe in like February, July, I don't know, something like that. Maybe February, if there's a collab in February, that would make sense to me, or January, that's what I'd guess. When using the Summon Stone, Yggdrasil, so when this Summon Stone is set, at the start of the battle, strength, defense, and mine increase by 20%. When using the Summoning Stone, give this unit a skill damage 30% and damage cap 40,000 buff, which is interesting. This unit is a permanent unit. I don't recommend anyone at all to be summoning for this character, really, because Christmas is coming up in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, you'll see, like, in about a week or so, and you get the teaser for whatever's coming up, you'll see what it is, but the Christmas this year is going to be very good, I have to say that, so it's definitely worth skipping this banner, and it's a permanent banner, so nobody needs to use any crystals on this banner, at all. Unless you really like this unit, it's up to you, but we get a couple of tickets, so it's not really worth pulling on a permanent banner, considering we've got limited banners all the time. And it's the first permanent banner we've had in 11 months, so easy skip for everyone. When using a skill, chance to use 50% of your HP to give target a plant type for 15 seconds. Now this is very interesting. You know why? Giving plant type to the enemy for 15 seconds. This could have some, you know, you can do some fun stuff with this, really. If any units, there are some units in the game that in their base kit increase damage and damage cap, or just have a lot of damage cap increases against specific enemy types. So if there is a unit that increases damage cap against plant type enemies by a lot, then this unit is going to synergize with them a lot, because she can keep giving plant type to enemies. Now this is going to be quite nice, and guess what you can even do, which is funny, you can even give, like, in PvP you could technically give Shift Log Zayas a plant type for 15 seconds, and make him vulnerable to plant type slayers. I'm not saying it's a strategy to do, I'm just saying it's funny that you could technically do that, but she isn't very tanky, and she's going to die instantly. I'm just saying, if she can land a skill and inflict this debuff, then yes, technically you could inflict, you know, this plant type effect to enemies. Yeah, she's an earth element, she's got a lot of earth attack skills. So, yeah, the next patch is going to be the best time to pull, because we have all the Christmas rerun events going on, and we've got the unnamed whatever's going on. Like, obviously there's going to be a new unit and stuff going on at Christmas, so definitely recommended to wait for that. Last Christmas limited arc was pretty damn good, and there are some good saintly, you know, units. Like saintly Thebria is pretty damn strong for PvP if you care about that, and there are some pretty strong limited arcs in Christmas as well for reruns, so if you don't have them, it's a good time to get them, so definitely recommend to save that. That's what I'm waiting for. This account hasn't been around for Christmas yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Now let's get back to this. There's a couple more here. Give it physical attacks and special and anti-insect and anti-plant type effect. Makes sense. And you know what's fun is these two skills definitely synergize with each other, because you can give plant types to enemies, and then she gets plant type Slayer. So you can see a synergy here. I'm hoping the chance for this is high, or at least high enough, and it's not like 10% or something stupid. I'm hoping it's high enough. Like if it's maybe 30% or something, like, or 20%, that'll probably be good enough, I suppose. As long as it's spamming skills, should be fine. When equipped with only one weapon, increase damage by 30%, damage cap by 60,000 to plant types and insect types, and you take 30% less damage from those types. So yeah, you can see she desperately wants to inflict, this debuff to make the enemy a plant type, because then she can take advantage of this skill, and she'll take less damage and do a lot more damage to them. So it's quite nice. Is a very good synergy for sure. And she also gets a plant type. For some reason, she's going to turn into a plant, which, that's funny to think about, really. So she turns into a plant, and she takes more fire damage by 15%. But when she takes a physical or magic light attack, there's a chance to recover 75% of the damage's HP. Now, I mean, it's just very specific, because it's light damage, right? And it's a chance. I'm hoping in the future we get something that's like recover 100% of damage's HP, because that would be hilarious. That would be amazing. But I would probably just recommend removing this most of the time, or just keeping it on. It's probably not really going to matter, because you're going to take more fire damage, and you're also giving her a plant type, which isn't always the best idea in PvP, but in PvE it doesn't matter. But taking more fire damage can matter if you're up against a fire type boss. But the advantage you get from this is just very specific, that it doesn't really matter too much. So, it makes sense. This is probably one of the most skills that make sense of the game. Like, photosynthesis, light, plants, sun, it makes sense. Recover HP because light with the plants, it makes sense. But is it actually good? No, it's not. It could have been better. It could have been like, buffing this unit in some way, or something like that. Like, when taking light damage, you could, increase the unit's damage or something. I'm just saying that it could have been better. If you're going to have a plant unit, that's interesting. They could do something with this in the future, like have a plant that, if they get watered or if they get sun, then they get buffed and they grow, and, I'm just saying, that could be funny and fun at the same time. Even though it's very specific and niche, it's just funny to think of something like that. Now, we go into the last one here. When equipped with only one weapon, increase earth damage by 30%, and damage cap by 50,000, of course. And then when you have an earth weapon equipped, you take 20% less damage and increase strength by 100% of that weapon. So, pretty nice. And then stick enhanced skills, more damage cap when you only have one weapon equipped. So yeah, I don't think she's even going to work. She's not going to work dual wield. She's only a single wield damage dealer, where only a single wield unit is no point dual wielding, because she has too much tied to single wield. She's got this one, which is 60,000 to plant types and insect types, and then this is 50,000 more. Then you've got 40,000 more, so it's a lot of damage cap tied to single wield. So start the boss wave, charge special gauge by 50%, and more HP recovery from active skills, take less physical damage and magic damage by 20%. Sword mastery, more damage and damage cap, and more movement speed and chance to nullify damage when you're moving. So this unit's kit towards the bottom is quite interesting, but up here you're seeing that these skills are not that great, honestly, because you've got Resolve at 1, Grand Brave, Matisse, Drive. These are not all the best skills. Like, we've got better versions of these skills in the game now, like EX Brave, stuff like that. And I don't know why there's even Resolve at 1 when it could have been Resolve at Max, stuff like that. So she's slightly lacking a little bit, but she does have like Sword Giga Boost, and this could have been Giga Close Boost or something too. Close Giga Boost or Mega Boost would have been a lot better than just Close Boost, you know. But I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out that some of these skills could have been stronger versions of those skills instead. But this unit's kit does look interesting to me, but it doesn't sound crazy. I think the main use you're going to get out of this unit is giving enemies plant type for 15 seconds as long as you're using skills, and the fact that she can heal while she's using her skills, so she doesn't even have to use magic spells to heal. She can just continuously keep using her skills to give plant type and heal, and she can also, you know, buffs from her special as well. So I think she's interesting actually, but I can't really think of a perfect scenario where I would use her in, and she's like quite niche, so I don't think she's going to be anything crazy, but she is at least decent for a permanent unit. She's not bad, and I do like these supportive effects that I'm seeing. It's just nothing crazy. I'm just thinking about it for a moment. I still think that her best thing is the given plant type effect. I think that's probably the best thing that she has going for her, because then you can put another unit in the team that synergizes with doing more damage cap to plant types. I think that's probably the best synergy I can think of. Maybe like, I don't remember what units do more damage cap to plant types. If the Demon Lilibet does that, I don't remember because I don't have her, so I can't say, but I'm just saying that that's probably the main use I see out of this unit. But she is going to be a decent damage dealer. At least she's got a good amount of damage cap, but her skills are not that crazy. She's going to be kind of mid as a damage dealer, but she can support at the same time, so I suppose, you know, being a high mid damage dealer and support, it's not that bad, but she's not going to be crazy. So I'm going to leave it there for this unit for now. I mean, I'm not impressed, but it does at least sound interesting to me, and can have some, you know, you can use her in some teams, I suppose. In some situations she could be quite good, but not all the time, and if you don't really care about, you know, specific teams or stuff like that, you can just use your existing support units and damage dealers and be just fine. So she's not necessary. She's more of a unit that could be fun to mess around with, right? So you could mess around with her and some teams and have fun with her and have some good performance with her, but it's not even necessary. So that's kind of what I'm thinking out right now. And then we get on to the SSR Ark. So this SSR Ark is in the permanent pool already. It's in the ticket gacha, but this unit is not going to get added to the permanent pool or the ticket gacha for until 6 months pass, which is annoying. I wish they didn't do that. I wish they did what other games did and put the unit in the permanent pool after the banner's gone, because that just makes so much more sense. So this trait, I've heard, isn't that great. When you have an armor equipped, HP gravity from units' active skills increased by 30%. Start the battle. When this unit has a spirit type, healing magic casting speed is increased by 30%. Okay, and then boost physical damage based on number of times restoring allies' HP 80% or less with active skills at max 10 times damage plus 40% resets each wave. Yeah, save crystals for Christmas, because you don't need to, nobody needs to pull in this banner at all. Just, it's a waste of crystals if you put any crystals in this banner. I'm not going to be touching this banner. I'm only going to be using tickets. So this trait sounds interesting. Okay, so boost damage based on number of times you're restoring allies' HP at 50% or 80% or less. So what this means is you can only boost your physical damage if your allies have 80% or less HP and you heal them with this unit that has this arc equipped. So if you're healing your allies that already has full HP, then this won't boost your physical damage, which kind of sucks. Because it doesn't mean you can continuously heal and boost your physical damage, even if your allies have full HP, and it doesn't work like that, which is annoying. So yeah, it's not the best, but I suppose 40% physical damage at maximum effect is pretty good, but when is that actually going to be good? When are you going to be, using this? It's probably going to work for the new unit, and that's it, because this is basically the only unit in the game that can heal from using skills. So, and you're never going to be casting your healing magic spells just to get this physical damage boost. That's just not going to happen, because you could just use a trait that gives you that physical damage boost at the start of the battle and just permanently anyways. So, it's not great. And if you compare it to some UR arcs, it just, you can see a difference. But I suppose this is only going to be useful for the new unit, and not really anyone else, and that's the problem. Now, the learnable skills I think are pretty decent. So, Earth weak point boost is new. We haven't seen this before. Earth attribute weakness damage is increased by 10% for 4 SC is pretty nice, but it is very specific. But for 4 SC, increasing your Earth damage when you're hitting a weakness with that Earth damage, it's not bad, because it's all of your Earth damage. So it's basically like an attack raise skill, but only when hitting weakness. So think of it like that. It's not bad, and technically it will boost. It's going to boost any of your Earth damage. So, physical, magic, arc skill, and even counter damage is going to apply to all of that damage as long as it's Earth and hitting weakness, it'll get that damage boost. So, interesting. It's not much of a boost though. Stone Rush, another one of these skills. We've probably seen it before, I don't remember, but it's a decent one. You get more damage cap, the 50 plus hit combos for 2 SC is pretty nice. And defensive casting, I know we've seen this before. It's not that great. I've never really used it that much, because it only applies when you're casting magic, so it's not the best. And here's the problem. When casting magic, take less counter damage. Do you see the problem? I'm just saying, I've always thought this was funny, because if you're casting magic, you can't actually trigger a counter from an enemy. So, basically useless is what I'm saying. I know it's got physical and magic damage as, mitigation as well. I'm just saying the counter damage taken part of it, pretty useless. Power heal is also a new one. Slightly boosts HP recovery from units' active skills. I wish it were to say by exactly how much. Based on unit strength. Oh, there you go. Slightly boost HP recovery based on strength. Well, there you go. It's kind of like a thaumaturgy ring, but for healing, based on strength. Which, is interesting to think about, but basically every single healer doesn't have high strength anyways, so this isn't really going to be much of a boost. If you give it to Spirit Maiden Sarah, it's probably going to be like 1% or something stupid, because she doesn't have her strength is very low. So again, this is another skill that's only going to work on the new units, and you're probably never going to use it on any other unit in the game ever, unless they release a unit that can also synergize with strength and does healing, Yeah, I would like to test if it works with Spirit Breath, but it's not really something that can be tested in the unit test play quest. But I will at least try it out later on, and it's not going to be as good as existing SCT spells, because Spirit Breath is just 3 seconds of SCT, and the Glass Record stuff like that is about 15 seconds plus the extra 3 seconds from Spirit Breath. So I think, or the 10 seconds, I don't remember, but it's just much better. Glass Record is going to be a million times better. The benefit you get from this unit, though, is the fact that you don't even have to cast. That's like the main benefit. It's not going to be the best for an SCT battery. It's not even going to be that good, but it can work, I suppose. I do want to try it out at least, but we'll see in a bit if I can at least get it to work somewhat and have a look at it. Earth Shield. This one is a very good skill, because this is more of a limited skill, which I think it's on one of those limited skills that is in the paid gacha which is funny. So it is nice to see this, because Earth Shield is a pretty good one. It's very nice to have this, so it's good to have this on here. And the last one is Insect Saber. I don't know why they didn't put Creature Saber on here instead, because that would have been so much better. Because Creature Saber, for the unit that gives... Actually, I mean Plant Saber, for the unit that gives Plant type to enemies. Because, you know, that would have made a lot more sense. That would have been great. Unless we already have a Plant Saber, which probably, but I'm just saying it would have made sense on this arc anyway. So, learnable skills are decent. I think they're, you know, they're good for Earth Shields, but they're not that crazy. They're okay. You know, that's all I can really say about this. And then the Arc for rewards is a staff, is an Earth Staff, which is okay, it's fine. But when you realize that the unit that this banner comes with is actually an Earth damage dealer that uses a sword, doesn't really make too much sense, but it's fine. MP, Intelligence, and Minds. Duration of buffs from units' active skills increased by 10%, and magic attack and special damage taken minus 10%. So, the main use you can get out of this staff is take less magic damage by 10%. Because we rarely get weapons in the game that decrease the amount of damage you're taking. So having a staff that allows you to take less magic damage is quite nice. So I do think this staff is going to be quite a nice one, quite a useful one for your support units that either inflict buffs on your team, or if you want them to be more tanky against magic or special damage, then this could be quite good for that. So in PvP this could be useful. If you don't have those healers paid staffs, then you could use this one, and then it will allow you to take less damage from magic, so it could be nice. So I can see some use for this for sure. So it's a decent arc. For an SSR, it's not bad. The trait is kind of, you know, you're probably never going to use it really. Learnable skills are okay. Earth Shield's pretty nice to have if you don't already have it. That's probably the best thing about this one if you don't have it already. Earth Weak Point Boost, Stone Rush, you know. These stuff are not bad. And the Archive reward is useful. So I think this arc, if you were to get it randomly, it's not bad. It's a good one to have, I suppose, but it's not worth pulling for because it's an SSR arc. Easily skip it. You'll get it in the future. You don't need to worry about it because guess what? It's in the ticket banner right now. It's in this banner right now. Unfortunately, the unit is not until 6 months, but the arc is. The Rainforest arc is right here already. So technically, you could get the arc from this banner, or just any off-banner, future banner. So don't pull for that one. But it's a decent one at least for an SSR. Now let's have a look at her paid equipments next. And she's going to have 2, which is nice. So she got a sword, which was expected. Honestly, these are pretty good. So those stats are pretty nice. High strength and minds. When equipped with only one weapon, increase physical damage by 40%. That's quite a lot for a paid weapon, honestly, that costs 25 credentials. Usually it's 30 instead, or 25, something like that. And increase damage cap by 5,000. When unit is alive, increase all allies' Earth physical damage cap by 3,000. It's annoying because they have this damage cap to all allies' Earth damage on her weapon. It's annoying, but yes, this weapon will be available in the future in the Crimson Ore trading space, but you got to wait a long time for that. So, and this isn't as good as Fairy King's Charisma, because that's 12,000 damage caps, a lot better, but this can, you can stack with that, because it's just a passive effect, and it's not even a buff, so yeah, this is pretty damn nice. It's pretty good. And then the clothes on this one, defense mind, physical and magic attack damage taken minus 20%, and at the start of the battle, give all enemies a earth resistance minus 20 debuff, okay, and increase strength by 10%. Also has curse resistance, 10 fire and light resistance. This one's also pretty good. Now, both of these are good, but I feel like this is going to be very good for the earth resistance -20 debuff. This one's quite nice for the debuff, and you could do some fun stuff with that, I suppose, for like PvP potentially. Probably not, but I'm just saying, if you want to build an earth team, then this can be useful in some cases. And I don't like seeing this type of effect on a paid equipment, because I would much prefer it to be in the unit's base kit instead. So I'm not a fan of that, but it is a very strong effect. And this is quite good too. So they're both good. It's kind of difficult to say which one's better. We do have a lot of swords available in the game, and less clothes. So this one might be slightly better. It really depends on if you want to pick one of these. It depends on what you want to use her as. If you're using her as a damage dealer mostly, then this one's going to be better. And if you just want the damage cap, this will be best for damage cap, because it gives allies damage cap as well. So that's if you care about that. But if you want her to be more of a support, this one's probably going to be better as for a support unit, because of the earth resistance debuff. It's quite nice. So I think both are very good, and I do think the sword is probably stronger overall, but the supportive debuff on this one is just, you know, very useful. So it's kind of difficult to pick one of them, honestly. But if it were me, I wouldn't get any of them. So yeah, but if I were to pick one, they're both decent, so I can't really recommend one over the other. The sword is probably the best one if you want damage dealer. This one, slightly better if you want a support, I suppose, so that's up to you. But I would probably go cloves, because I like support type units more, and they're more useful long term. So I would probably prefer the cloves, because the earth resistance debuff is quite nice. Yeah, I'd probably do that, but don't need to get any of them, and she's just a permanent unit, and these will be available in the future in a long time. And she's a permanent unit, so in like 6 months she'll be in the permanent pool of units, and then however long after that, her paid equipment should be available in the Crimson Ore trading space. It's going to be a long time, but she's a permanent unit. Well, after 6 months she will be permanent, so, and she's not that crazy, so it's not really even necessary to get any of those, honestly. So that is everything in regards to the units and the Ark. Now, this is the point where I would do some summons, but let's have a quick look at all the banners going on right now, and we'll do a couple of pulls, but I'm not going to be using any free crystals or any crystals on the new unit, because I don't need this unit, and I don't pull for permanent units, because it's just not, you know, most units and stuff in this game are limited. So when you get a permanent unit and a permanent banner, that's your time to skip. It really is. Spend the next 2 weeks saving, pretty much. So I am considering doing this banner, because it gives you, you know, a random unit that you don't have. I don't really care about that too much. The one thing that I like the most about this one is the fact that you get these 2 arcs. Band of the Dunes has a decent Archive reward, and also what's funny is this also has Earth Shield. Faint Resist and Earth Shield are 2 pretty useful skills if you don't have them. Earth Shield is on the newest Ark, which is funny. The Archive reward for PvP is pretty nice, but this is probably the main Ark that people are looking for, because of, you know, the Archive reward and the learnable skills are pretty nice. Well, mostly the Secret Battle Art's probably the best thing about the learnable skills, it's not even that amazing. But, and Claw Boost is pretty good. I don't have Claw Boost yet, I think. So, I think I'm going to be getting this myself, because I'm missing both of these, and it's only 3,000 paid crystals. So I'm probably just going to be doing that right now, and then moving over to Steam, and then using my tickets afterwards. And then that's all the pulls that I'm going to be doing today, because I don't really want to summon for anything that's going on right now. I'm not doing the step catcher because I don't really care about this unit, and I don't really care about, well, they look interesting, but I don't care enough to put crystals into the banner, you know? So I'm going to be skipping and saving on those. But let's do this one, because why not? I'm missing both of these, and this is a good opportunity to get them right now. They're not, you don't need them, but for 3,000 paid crystals I don't mind doing it. So I'm going to be doing that right now. And the unit that I get, I don't really mind what unit it is. Honestly, the animations don't matter because they're guaranteed anyways. Yep. Probably the best unit I could get from here is the Shift Kaine. That's probably the only useful unit that I could get from here. Everyone else doesn't really matter. So, in here, guaranteed one new unit and those 2 limited arcs. I only recommend doing this if you have the paid crystals if you want to, and, you know, if you're missing both. If you're only missing one, just don't bother. Right. Yeah, of course. There's the new unit, I think. That's the arc first, the unit is the last one, I think. So, Band of the Dunes, and then that is the limited arc. Yep. And then the unit is last, which either Shift Kaine or doesn't really matter who else. Agrabos is fine. I think it gives crystals, so that's going to be a nice one. Yeah, the unit didn't really matter on this one, but yeah, these were guaranteed. But I do like the Archive reward on this one for PvP, and this can sometimes be useful. And I did want to get these now because, you know, then I have them, you know. Secret Battle Arts, and it's pretty cheap just to get them. I don't mind paying 3,000 paid crystals to get 2 of these, so pretty good for me, anyways. And I believe I just want to check something. Let me check a couple of things first. So I believe Lagrabos should give crystals because he's an old unit. I'm just gonna have to check that first. So of course you can get him to level 100 to get you some crystals, and also this doesn't actually give crystals because it was before that, so whatever. But yeah, that's basically 1,000 free crystals once I get him to level 100. So that gives 1,000 crystals back. And then the other 2 arcs. This one, I'm definitely going to be getting this right now because I'm definitely going to be using that. Sometimes. Is a pretty good Archive for rewards, honestly. Skill damage and damage cap, stun and illness resistance is a pretty nice one. And of course, this will just give those materials. And Secret Battle Arts, I wish if this was 1 SE less, it could be an amazing skill. Because 5 SE for 10% skill damage by itself isn't much. But it's not bad. And then the other one is down here somewhere, because this one's quite old. This one does actually give a couple of crystals in here too, so that's quite nice. So you get 3, 4, 5, 600 crystals back from this as well. So technically, if you do this banner for 3,000 paid crystals, and you don't have any of them, then you're basically getting 1,000 free crystals back from getting the unit to level 100, and you also get another 600 crystals back from getting this arc to level 7. So even though it's free crystals, it's not bad. And if you do get a super old unit that has crystals from the library as well, then you could get a couple more in there too. So not bad, and quite cheap, honestly. So that's probably the only reason I did this, is because it's quite cheap. If it was like 9,000 or something, I definitely would have not done it. but because it's 2 limited arcs for 3,000 and you also get some crystals back, it's not bad. Might as well get this one too. I've been saving up all this Ethereum, so might as well get it now. And this can be useful sometimes in like PvP, so that's nice. Right, so I'm gonna leave that there, kind of. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna go to Steam, and then we'll use our tickets, the tickets that I have. I have 7 tickets. I got all of those from the events. I wish there was more tickets, but unfortunately there's not any more yet. You can get some from the events, trading space, and mission rewards. Currently I've only got 7, but I might as well use them now. And that will be the last pulls that I'm going to be doing today. I think, I mean, I could do some of these tickets to try and get the Ark, but does it even matter? Probably not. It's probably best to save them for like when the permanent unit gets added to the pool. I'm just going to do this one because it's a guaranteed Ark in here. I'm just going to skip it because it's just a ticket. So yeah, I'm still saving my tickets for like units. Unfortunately, they've hardly ever been permanent units added to there. So let's use these 7. These are going to be the last pulls that I'm doing today, because you know I don't really care too much about this banner. So I'm just going to be using these 7. If we get anything, that's great, but I'm not fussed about it really. The rear, but as we know that doesn't matter. There's a blue. Is get it. If there's a red in here, could be nice, but it's probably nothing. Don't expect anything. Just 7 tickets. Doesn't really matter anyways. Yeah, there's nothing. Not even a red, because there's only 1. Oh, there's a red. Okay. No extra animation. It's definitely going to be a dupe then, for sure. Yup. Well, it would have been interesting to get the new unit. Would have been nice, actually, because it gives you 1,000 free crystals back. But, yeah, I'm not going to be pulling on this one. It's going to be the one time that I completely skip this banner, because it's not going to be worth it, I think. And because there's Christmas coming up with limited stuff, it's going to be quite exciting, so definitely save for that one. Right, so that's going to be all the summons I'm doing. I didn't want to do that many. Well, I didn't want to do many. I just wanted to do that paid gacha in the tickets. So now what I want to do next is start showcasing the unit, trying her out. I can already tell the stream isn't going to be very long because, yeah, it's already been an hour. And we're just about to go to the showcase. Then after that, I don't think there's really much else I want to do. So let's have a look at the unit in the unit test play quest now. So what's funny is they didn't actually give her the SSR Ark. They gave her this one, which is a UR Ark, which is arguably better because it gives you 40% damage and damage cap, and more damage cap. So yeah, I do really like this Ark. I'm just saying, it's pretty damn good, but all of her base skills, obviously paid equipment and stuff. Stats are okay. Let's try her out now. Desert Rose. Yeah, makes sense. Right, so let's try her out in the unit test play quests. I want to look at all of her animations and everything. See how she's performing in here. So, normal attack is 3 hits, and I still think that she doesn't use MP for anything in her kit. So Goddess Kiss kind of useless for her base kit, I think. So skill 1, and the enemy already has all of these types, by the way, and the cut earth resistance is from her paid clothes. So the give types are already on the enemy, so it's not really a good showcase to look at that debuff, but Yeah, you can see Spirit Breath is proccing right there. I use a skill 1, Spirit Breath. So, the healing, 1880 is it's not much. But it is proccing Spirit Breath, which is good. That is quite nice. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but after 3 skill 1s, you basically get another skill 1 back, just from the Spirit Breath SCT, which is interesting. Now, the healing isn't much. It's very low. If it were to be healing for 9,999, that would be hilarious, because you'll have continuous healing as long as you're using a skill. Now, and if you add on the fact that if she were to have super armor, that would have been hilarious. But she doesn't have super armor. If she did, she could have just been a, you know, continuously healing, spamming her skills. It could have been funny, but... Now, skill 2 is long range. That's funny. So, basically shoots out, throws her weapon, and then pulls the enemies in, like Mortal Kombat style, get over here type skill. Just, yeah, pull them to you. And it seems like a very small area, so you're mostly going to be pulling one enemy at a time. It does say enemies in the skill 2, so I'm assuming if there's multiple enemies in the small area, that it should pull all of them, I would guess. Yeah, I've heard of what's coming up in Christmas, and I can't spoil it, so that's why I'm making sure people are saving for it, because it's gonna be worth it this time, because you'll see. So, if you can notice with this skill 2, yes, the hit counts are quite fast, right? But the problem is you can't spam this one, because there's a very long delay between the next time you use a skill 2, so I'm hoping you can combo this into another skill, and like basically remove the delay, and maybe that'll be good, but I have to see. Let's try skill 3 next, and then I do want to try comboing skills and stuff together. Yeah, this one's pretty nice, but it's only 18 hits. There's definitely going to be a faster skill, but he's decently fast, honestly. Decently spammable too, but yeah, it's not going to be crazy because... And the reason why she's getting SCT back from using her skill 3 is because of the Ark trait. There's nothing to do with her base kit. It's because of the restore skill 3 SCT when you're using one. Yeah, that's just the Ark trait doing that. But it's pretty nice. Damage cap could have been higher for a single wield damage dealer. Nothing crazy, really. Honestly, quite low for a single wield damage dealer compared to other units. But of course you can increase that outside of that. So that's all of her skills. I also want to try out her special and try comboing her skills together and see how they do, because that's always fun. So let's use the special, because this doesn't do damage, it gives her a buff. And it's healing. So yeah, what it gives is boost earth damage and earth damage cap. Cut damage taken is from, you know, her trait as well. This earth, it looks very nice. So this green area right here is what's giving the damage taken the buff. So cut damage taken by 50%, as long as she's in this circle here. And then when it runs out, I'm hoping it should refresh it. Yeah, if you walk out of that circle and then walk back in, it refreshes them, which is nice. You get the damage cap and take less damage. If you just stay in it, is it gonna... Okay, it's gone now. Okay, so the one problem I'm seeing is the fact that this... I think this doesn't last very long. Let me see it again. Because in practice, you're not actually going to be, you know, worrying about being in or out of that circle. Well, here's the thing. I don't know what the units kits are going to be at Christmas. I don't know the kits. I just know what Christmas is going to have in it. So I can't say what the kits are going to be. I have no idea. It's not bad. These skills do feel pretty nice. It's just the damage cap isn't crazy. And the hit counts are not crazy either. Yeah, there's nothing crazy about this unit. So highly recommend to save for Christmas. Christmas is going to be the best event coming up. Because of all the limited stuff coming back. And the new Christmas event's going to be pretty fun. Let's do this one more time, and then I suppose we'll leave that there for this unit. No. Because I didn't... I'm not gonna be... That is pretty nice. Skill 3. Launching enemies into the air. I didn't get... The only way I got the information from is someone told me. That's all I can say. And I do... If you're thinking of like, oh, do I get information all the time, blah blah, that stuff. No. Just in this one time that this one person told me that the Christmas is going to have something good in it. I'm just making sure people are aware and make sure to save their crystals for it. That's all I'm making sure. I'm just saying, make sure to save. Because I know for free-to-plays it's going to be very important to save for that. Because it's limited. So just skip this banner entirely because of what's coming up in 2 weeks from now. But yeah, I don't normally have anything to do with any leaks. It's only because someone told me. And that's all I'm saying. Until we get the announcement of what Christmas is going to have in about a week and a half or something. So, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to try and put her entire kit together. So, I'm going to use her special first, and then start spamming her skills to see how fast we can kill this guy now. How much to save? Well, save as much as you can. If you're a newer player that has started this year, then you would have missed all of the previous collab arcs and units. So this year is going to be a good time to get any of the rerun stuff that you don't have. Yeah, Christmas in 2 weeks. Christmas event in 2 weeks, which will last a couple of weeks. Because last year, the Christmas banner was on the 12th of December. So this year is going to be on the 11th of December, which will be in 2 weeks from now, on the Thursday. So that's why I'm saying Christmas event in 2 weeks. So let's try this. I'll be comboing skill 2 and skill 3 and hoping that's good. I mean, 15 seconds... It's alright, it's not the worst thing. Yeah, make sure to grind crystals as much as you can, because Christmas event is going to be really good. Even if I didn't know about what was coming, I would still say it's worth saving for it because of the rerun Christmas event stuff that if you don't have, it's going to be a good time to get those. There should be some like Redux banners. Hopefully there's some step up gacha for like 15,000 free crystals or something. They might do it for 30,000, I don't know, but I'm hoping there is some sort of step up gacha to allow you to select the any previous collab limited arcs or units, because that would be pretty damn nice. But there's gonna be more than that, so you're gonna need to prepare your crystal stash. But we'll see. Yeah, you definitely make sure to be prepared is all I'm gonna say. So, yeah, I mean, there isn't really too much else that I want to do today. I suppose we can have a quick look at the events, but yeah, these next 2 weeks are going to be spent just grinding and saving crystals for the Christmas event that's coming up in 2 weeks. That's all it really is. It's just a 2-week break period between now and Christmas, pretty much. And we literally just had a collab, so you definitely need time to save crystals, because you're going to need it, 100%. So, this event having a world map's pretty nice. I don't think there's anything crazy in here for the event, so pretty basic event really. And you can get some tickets in this event if I go to the bottom. I've already traded for these, but you can get 3 tickets right here. And there's 4 more in the mission rewards. Up to 26,000 points, you can get 4 tickets total. And I'm hoping that they give a couple more tickets in part 2. I believe in part 2 next week, they should give at least 3 more tickets. So, that'd be nice. Yeah, that's probably the best thing about this unit, is the fact that she can give plant type to enemies. That's definitely going to be quite fun, for sure. I do think it's going to be quite nice. You can definitely do some unique, fun teams for this. But not worth pulling for, at least. I've changed my mindset on this game. I don't pull for everything. I only pull for the stuff that I feel like is going to be useful for, like, PvE content mostly, but PvP sometimes. But mainly, I look for the most useful things and try and get those stuff instead of trying to get everything. And if something is just fun but doesn't actually have a practical use, I'll just skip it. Even if there's a unit that is a unit that I like, if it doesn't necessarily have anything good, I'll end up skipping it, which probably wouldn't have been the case in the past. Well, I think that's everything that I wanted to do in this stream. I've been trying to think for a moment. But yeah, Black Friday stuff going on. Next week is going to be part 2 of this event. Not going to be too much going on in this event for the next 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, Christmas event. So yeah, my conclusion for today is, there's not much going on today, honestly. This is mostly a chill 2 weeks period in the game, which is nice to have between a collab and the Christmas event. So, a video on best arena teams. I can't really do something like that. The meta changes constantly. If you really want to get into arena, all I can really say is look at the top teams. Look at what top teams people use, and spar those if you can. And don't copy this team, because this isn't even my proper team. I was just using this to climb up the ranks for early clearing, you know, the these types of players. But basically, push early and try and get defense wins, like something like this. Bait units are your friend. If you want to rank high in arena, bait units are going to be your friends. That's all I'm going to say about arena, because it's a competitive game mode. I don't really cover it too much, and meta changes constantly. I'm not a super PvP guy anymore. That's the main reason why I made this account, is because I don't want to focus on PvP. So I prefer PvE content. PvP, I'm not even pushing super hard. I just, you know, have fun with it, do what I can. Still managed to I got ranked 29 last season, which was nice, even though I didn't actually plan to get that. I usually try and get rank 100, but anyways, back to conclusion for today. Yeah, there's not going to be much going on in these next 2 weeks. It's mostly going to be spending these 2 weeks to be saving for the Christmas event. However, I do think this unit is quite interesting, and you can definitely do some fun things with this unit, because she can give a plant type to enemies as long as she's using her skills. I think she could be quite useful for this, could have some nice team synergies. As well as that, of course, she has some team buffs, like, you know, damage mitigation buff effect on her special, you know, that domain effect, even though it's only temporary, it's still pretty nice. And the earth damage and damage cap buff, pretty nice too. So she does have some decent supportive skills, nothing crazy, nothing that you need really, but they could be fun to mess around with, and you can definitely do some good stuff with it. And obviously you've got the final one here, reviving incapacitated spirit type allies with 100% HP. Could do some PvP stuff for that as well. So she definitely has some, you know, viable options, I suppose. As a damage dealer, I think she'll be alright as a damage dealer, but she's not going to be anything crazy. The best thing about this unit, you don't even need to give her Slayers, because she gives plant type to enemies, and she has plant type Slayer already. So you don't need to give any Slayer on this unit whatsoever. But I would guess she might struggle to hit damage caps against endgame bosses, and you're probably not going to be using her against endgame bosses, because I don't think she's really going to work in those teams currently with the best damage dealers. So yeah, I don't think she has a place in current endgame really, and in PvP I don't think she really has a place either. So yeah, assuming the chance is high, I should probably look at what the chance is, but hopefully it gets added to Goldmine very soon. Yeah, because if the problem is, if you need an SET battery unit just for her to be able to have permanent uptime of this debuff, that would definitely be a problem. But yeah, hopefully it's a decent chance. Like 30% or 25%, something like that would be good enough, I suppose. If it's like 10%, not gonna be great. But yeah, if you get her from tickets, she'll be a fun unit to mess around with for sure, and you can definitely do some things with her for sure. And the Ark is a permanent Ark. It has some, you know, useful stuff in it, but it's nothing crazy. Earth Shield if you don't have it, Earth Weak Point Boost, Stone Rush, you know, mostly Earth related skills. And the Archive reward is okay. Take less magic damage, probably the best thing about this, and more duration of buffs. So it's not bad. There are definitely some useful things in this banner, but don't worry about this banner, because it is going to be, it's a permanent banner. This Ark is in the permanent pool of Arks already, and this unit will be added to the permanent pool of units after 6 months, which is annoying. I wish they did it after this banner finished, because that's how other gachas do it, and I don't know why this game has to be any different and extend it to 6 months, because it's so annoying. Yeah, if it was debuff, that would have been pretty nice. If it also included like ailments, could have been pretty damn nice. Because debuff duration would apply to like shift Lelouch. So yeah, that would have been nice. But because it's only buffs, not as good, but can still be useful sometimes. But yeah, nothing crazy here, and there isn't really any other banners I would recommend pulling on at the current moment. So if you're, for some reason, looking to reroll when you haven't rerolled over the past however many months, or if you just saw this game right now for whatever reason and you want to reroll, then wait for Christmas event, because that's going to be a very good time to pull on that. So for now, isn't really any good banners to pull on, so it's going to be 2 weeks of saving, and then you've got Christmas event after 2 weeks, so hopefully you're prepared for that, because that's going to be great. And you'll see in about a week and a half or so in the teaser that yes, it's going to be quite good, hopefully. It depends what they do, I don't know. I have no idea, I don't know every single detail, I'm just saying it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm always a fan of like Christmas themed units in general. I always like those types of units, they're always fun to me. They just feel, you know, more unique. I like those types of things. I know, I'm just making sure people are saving. If you're not saving yet, then what the hell are you doing? Don't spend a single crystal on this banner. It's not worth it. I'm just trying to make sure that people save. It's very important. Well, not really, but if you're free to play, it's very important to save for it because it's limited stuff. So always save for the limited stuff. And yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to say today, at least. But you'll see, you don't have too much long left. You've got about 2 weeks. 2 weeks left, or just less than 2 weeks. Basically 2 weeks today, and then you got Christmas event. It'll be fun. It'll be worth the wait. Trust me, it will be. But right now, honestly, I'm probably not going to be playing this game that much in the next 2 weeks, and I'm probably going to be playing some other games. That's what I have been doing, just been grinding a lot of Call of Duty and stuff, so I'm probably going to be casually playing, logging in, doing some events, and obviously I'll be doing the raid boss that's out later today and messing around with that, so I still play this, you know, a good amount, but I'm just going to be saving crystals for the Christmas event, and we'll see what happens, but trust me, it'll be worth waiting for. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to say, so about half an hour less than normal, but that's just because there isn't really much to cover today. This unit is a permanent pull unit, but currently this unit, you can't get this unit from tickets yet. Even though it is a perma unit, and the thumbnail is not a lie, this is how they do permanent units in this game. And I know it's annoying, but this is how they do permanent units. They release the permanent unit after 6 months. So after 6 months, it will be in this ticket banner, but currently it's not in here. So I'm just making sure people are aware of that, so they don't go trying to hunt for the unit in their tickets right now because it's not in here. But the Ark is in here. Yeah, it's disgusting, it's horrible. But I'm hoping they change it in the future. If not, I'm always going to hate it, and I'm always going to skip these banners, because I don't like how they handle these permanent units. I wish they were to release more permanent units in this game, because so many other gacha games, like, I'll give you one example, like Chaos Zero Nightmare that I've been playing a little bit over the past couple of days. Every single unit so far is a permanent unit. After the banner is over, it gets added to the permanent pool of units. Why don't they just do something like this? Like, this game has so many limited things, and I know it's part of the game, but it does kind of make it a bit difficult for some players to get into the game because there's so many limited things in this game. Yeah, if you want to know exactly what's in the pool, then go to probability, because that, you know, that tells you everything that's in there. Chaos Zero Nightmare is a single player game, not PvP. I personally prefer single player games. I don't like PvP games. If there's any PvP game that requires skills and stuff like that, I hate it. Don't like it. Requires too much time investment. I prefer single player games most of all. This game, Last Cloudia was single-player game, kind of. Apart from Arena, it's mostly single-player. It does have some, you know, guild aspects, but it's not like a stupidly high time investment requirement that you got to be on at specific times and this kind of thing, you know. So I still like it. It's great. Still one of my favorite games for sure, as it doesn't require you to be on at specific times for guild stuff. So great. Yeah, there are so many games that adds the units to the permanent pool, or they have reruns very often. This game has a lot of collabs, but it's not as bad as other games that I've named many times in other previous streams that you probably know about. But yeah. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to do today. I do want to add the timestamps in the next 10-15 minutes, and I think I'll leave it there for today. Again, not going to be doing too much. Yeah, best single-player free-to-play game. I can't really say, you know, best free-to-play game. And it comes down to personal preference. And there are many videos on YouTube from other content creators that have made videos on their favorite gacha games that they play. So, you know, if you're really interested, you can always check those out. I mainly focus on this game on this channel because that's kind of how this channel ended up being built around this one game. And when I try and shift focus to a different game, it never really works out for me. So, kind of just been chilling and doing my own thing on this game. And play my other games in my own time. I do have a couple of games that I play. I'm just gonna point a couple out and then I'll end the stream in a couple minutes. So I've been playing a bit of Puzzle and Dragons recently. I don't know why, I just kind of got into it last week. I've played that for like many years at this point. I have to say, Wuthering Waves is still one of my favorite gacha games ever. It has to be. If you haven't tried it, then you probably don't like open world gacha games, but still, it's definitely my favorite one for sure. And obviously Chaos Zero Nightmare is a very good one, and Nikke is a very good one. Nikke is very free-to-play friendly. If you think it's just a Guna game, well, you're right, but there's more to it than that. And then Reverse 1999 is a good one too, but I have a lot of gacha games. I don't always find time to play all of them at the same time. I just kind of go in between them, and Last Cloudia is always on my #1 list of keeping, you know, I play that every day, all the time, because it's always the main, I enjoy it. Yeah, Wuthering Waves at launch was a bit unpolished, and there were a couple of problems, but after launch and after a couple of updates, it's been amazing. Like, especially after version 2, it's been amazing. If you like open world games, there's no reason why you wouldn't like this. If you've ever played Genshin Impact, you would know Wuthering Waves is basically better in every single way. And there's also other upcoming open world games. Actually, there are other games that have released recently. I've tried them out. I just don't stick with them because I have too many games already, and I'm always looking for games and trying to decide on which ones I want to play. Like, Duet Night Abyss came out a couple of weeks ago. I tried it. It's nice. I just don't want to fit it into my, you know, routine of games, and it doesn't even have a, you know, gacha for characters, and it's good, but it's just not really my type of thing, you know. And just I'm always in between gacha games because I can never decide on which one I want to get into. But yeah, Last Cloudia has always been my #1, apart from the one that I played previously, which you would know if you dig into my channel, you would know what I played. But I've always been into gacha games because it's like my hobby, you know, my main hobby. So it's not the only games I play, I have to say. I mostly play these at like night time in bed, or, you know, occasionally throughout the day. And then the main games I play in the day would be like Borderlands, Call of Duty, that kind of stuff, which probably most people don't care about, but still. I think I've yapped on enough. If you want to, you know, discuss anything, you could always join the Tweaks Cloudia Discord, because that's a good place for live Cloudia information and just any discussions, really. And I've got a Discord as well. Well, I don't have my own Discord. I use Tweaks Cloudia's Discord. That's like the one I use the most. But yeah, I'll leave it there for today, and I'll add the timestamps in the next 10-15 minutes, and we'll be back for Christmas event in 2 weeks, which will be very fun, so look forward to that. And hopefully you get lucky from tickets if you care about this banner at all. I don't think there's going to be much going on in this game for the next 2 weeks, and I don't expect this live stream to get many views. I'm not really fussed about it, but I don't think many people are going to care much about this because it's just a permanent unit, so hooray, most people are going to be skipping and waiting for more important limited stuff to go on, which makes sense. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll come back in 2 weeks, and that'll be a lot more exciting, and we'll have some fun then. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be chilling, grinding some crystals, playing some other games, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. So yeah, thanks for coming. Another timestamps very soon. See you in the next one.